Welcome to the Influential Personal Brand Podcast. This is the place where we help mission-driven messengers just like you learn how to build and monetize your personal brand. My name is Rory Vaden, and I'm the co-founder of Brand Builders Group, a Hall of Fame speaker, and New York Times bestselling author. And this show is to help experts learn how to become more wealthy and well-known. I know you're going to love it. Thanks for being here. Let's get started.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Influential Personal Brand Podcast. This is AJ Vaden here, and y'all. All right. If you follow me on social at all, then you will know that over the last year, I've gone through a major health transformation in my life, both physically, mentally, emotional, and I talk about it a lot in the Brand Builders Group community, and I'm so honored. And I'm also so excited to introduce you guys to Dr. Cody Golman because it was his program that I went through. It was him that I worked with and I say this in the humblest possible way. I have never been in a better space in my entire adult life. I'm in the best physical shape. I am the best version of myself that I have been as a human on this earth, not just my adult life. And I credit so much of that to the transformation that happened in Dr. Cody's program. And so when I say that this is a life-changing, life-transforming program, I mean it. I also can tell you that and this is why I'm telling you guys this before I introduce Cody. There are some things that we talk about at Brand Builders Group that resonate in some areas, and there's just some things that are just universal truth. And one of the things that we say a lot at Brand Builders Group is that the best form of marketing in the world is a changed life, right? And the reason that I promote and refer so many people to Dr. Cody is because it changed my life. And if you guys are sitting here wondering how to get more clients and how to grow your business, I would encourage you to stop thinking about that and start thinking about how do I change the lives of the clients that I have. And really, that's what today's episode is going to be about. And we're going to talk a lot about the physical side and the health and nutrition side, but also the mechanics of how to create a program that can actually be life-changing. And that is why I wanted to have Dr. Cody on, not just to talk about his content, which we will, but also talk about the actual structure of how to create a life-changing program that can help you grow your business by changing lives. So with that said, let me also professionally introduce Dr. Cody Golman. Dr. Cody has been a dedicated healthcare professional for the last 20 years. Uniquely, he has a unique avatar of empowering women aged 35 to 55 who struggle with stubborn weight loss that will not go away regardless of how many things you try. And a huge part of what he has created is a hormone-reset weight loss program that helps women specifically change and better their lives. And so I am formally introducing Cody to the show. Thank you for accepting my invitation. We're so glad you're here.
Wow, I be honest with you, I have tears with that introduction because I can feel how much your life has changed. And I was put on this planet to change and inspire and help people. So I feel like I feel a mission just hearing that from you. So thank you for those loving words.
Well, enjoy those because I'm going to use not as friendly words later. So, but this is genuinely such a treat to introduce you to the audience because I have been talking about you a ton and you and the program and really the structure of how you built this. But before we get into that, I think it's always important to know, as I imagine most of our audience, this is their first time being introduced to you. And so I'd love for you just to quickly tell everyone a little bit about where you started and how you got to where you are.
Yeah, I'll do briefly. So I was in the military. I joined at 17. I was still in high school. Back in the day, you could do that. And I became a tank commander at 19. And we were throwing these bullets. The bullets are 100 pounds a piece, and the bullet hole was about a foot over your head. And you can do 3 a minute. And over the course of time, I started having problems with my neck and shoulders and went to doctors, went to medical doctors, went through the whole gamut, got medications and I started questioning like what, they really didn't have a diagnosis, but I got medications. And so it truly led me towards natural healthcare. And I finally went to a chiropractor who said, "Hey man, you got a pinched nerve in your neck." And I said, that can't be true. I've been to a neurologist, I've been to a cardiologist, and he did one adjustment, and I had a numb hand for about 3 months. I had asthmas and allergies and all kinds of stuff. In 3 seconds, the energy came back into my hand and I could have feeling again.
Mm.
And at that moment, I knew it was universe, it was God saying, "Listen, like this is your role in this planet is to help other people." And so I set off to go into chiropractic school. And one of my thoughts at that time was, how many people have gone through what I've gone through, gone to doctors, given medications, and never actually found the cause of their problem? And that's an important part of the story because that is my passion, is helping people truly understand their body. Our healthcare system, our medical system, our school system does not teach you about your body. And I think that's like literally what I'm creating now, is literally a school for how does our body work. So I had a healthcare center for 17 years. We saw 325 patients a week. I've had everything from asthmas, allergies, AIDS, sickle cell anemia, breast cancer, digestive cancer. I've seen every single one of these things heal, multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia. So I won't go into too much more of that. But so I learned a lot in that time. And most of it wasn't from just physical treatments. I started understanding how the mind is wired, how your mind and body are connected. And so I sold at office, and I opened up a physical product business on Amazon. And over time, I wasn't working with any people, and I started getting like really antsy. I'm like, I forgot my purpose. I'm like, I'm here to work with people. I'm here to ignite and inspire people to their highest potential. That's it. And so, interesting enough, people started calling me, my patients, after I sold the office. They called me and said, "Hey, you remember that weight loss program you had? I had a weight loss program just because we were attracting people in the office. That's why we did it." And people started calling me and I said, "Okay, I'll figure out how to do this. I don't have an office anymore." So we just figured out how to do it virtually, and it worked well. And so that literally is what happened. And with the Fast 40, it wasn't something I was looking to do. Most of the businesses that I've created, they've been things that have come to me. I didn't choose to do it. And at this stage of my life, I think those some of the best things that we do, that we think we create, are the things that are being created for us. So that's how I got to this point here. So
I love that. And and here's one of the things that I would say, because I've been through the program and everything. It's so interesting, in such a awesome way to reflect back on, because what you just said is like, nobody explains how the body works, right? It's like the amounts that I learned in the course itself of, just the even of like what my body responds to, but unique things that are specific to a woman's body, like when you're on your menstrual cycle, like you will never lose weight, and the amount of water that I was definitely not taking, and what you think is healthy, which really isn't healthy. And like, to your point, I had gone through 2 years of a misdiagnosis with, gallstones from being pregnant, and literally misdiagnosed for 2 years. And then on top of that, I kept having all my labs checked and like, "No, your hormones are great." And then I realized, oh, your hormones change daily as a woman. And so it's like, unless you're having them checked like every day, it's like, how would you ever? And there's so many things that we just don't know. Right. And what I love is that, and we say this all the time at Brand Builders Group, it's like your content should be your conclusion, never your hypothesis. And what I love about you and your program is like, no, this started from a personal need to then a dedication and expertise of doing the thing, right, 300 times a week for a very long time, to get to the place of conviction, right? And I think that's one of the most powerful things that I have seen in your program, is that you, the leader of the program, are so convicted that what the program offers works, that if it's not working, it's my fault. Right. And that's one of the things that you reminded me of all the time. Well, the program works, so you're not doing something right. And, what I love now, I didn't love it then, but what I love now is the pure confidence and conviction that you have in the program, because you know that if you follow it, it works. And if it's not working, then you're doing something wrong. And as I think about even as brand builders group of like our program, I think sometimes the creators of programs or runners of memberships or coaches or consultants or whatever your business is, we somehow think like, man, what am I not doing right? And I think maybe you haven't time tested it enough, or you haven't, gone through it yourself enough. But it's like when you believe in the program so much and you have time tested it so many times that you can go, you're wrong. The program is not wrong. You're wrong. Like it does increase the level of one, accountability and expectations that you have from your clients, and realizing, hey, I can't do this for you. You have to do it. I'm going to give you the information. At the end of the day, you have to take it and do something with it. And it creates the partnership versus everyone who buys something and was like, oh, that didn't work. And it's like, oh, no, it didn't work because you didn't do it. Right. And I think that was a huge part of what I walked away in a business standpoint of like, does our team have the level of conviction in our products and services that you do to be able to go, well, clearly you're doing something wrong because I know it works. And if it's not working, it's you. Right. And I love the confidence that comes in that. And so my first question for you, because I could go on and on and on, would be, how'd you get to that level of confidence in your own program?
Beautiful question. And by the way, I do feel that with BBG. I do for that. I've been diving in. I can tell the system works. I just know it. So I'm in it and I can feel that conviction from you guys. So I love that you're asking your employees like, hey, do we all have that level of conviction? We know this works. After you've done it with 600 people, and I've been through multiple businesses. I've listened to your guys' stuff. I'm like, they know what they're talking about. Like I know you know. So how did I get to that level? So there's something that came up in what you were saying that I want to bring up. Of course, repetition is the mother of skill. So when you do something enough, you start building a skill set. But what I noticed this probably 2 years into the Fast 40, I started realizing like that I knew what I was doing. I was like, oh my God, this is really good. When you've put your hands on enough people and watch them heal, this happened in the chiropractic office. It's a very important thing for people to hear in terms of programs or courses or even your doctor. Without that certainty, your level of results goes down quite a bit. And so that's why it's an important question. When people came to my office, many times they had literally untreatable diseases that weren't going to get better. And when you sit in front of a doctor that says, I've got you, I'm going to work with you, we've got this. The reason I have so much certainty is because I know that it's not me doing the healing. It's because there's a power inside you that I know how to work with and that I'm going to get you acquainted with. The universe is inside you. I already know that your natural state is health, homeostatic health. I know your natural state is inspiration. I know your natural state is to be able to be energized and also to be able to be sleep when you need to sleep. It allows yourself to go back and forth. I'm not doing a damn thing except tapping into the things you already have. So when you have certainty in the universe, is there anything else you need?
Yeah, I think that's really good. And I love what you said too. And this is how I interpret it anyway. It's like without certainty, your level of skill diminishes. Right. And it's like there's a certain level of certainty that actually creates confidence in other people that, okay, well, he's so confident. Clearly, if I just do this, it'll work. Right. And I think that's really important. People need that level of confidence in what they're buying, because it's like, I think for a lot of people, to whatever business that you're in as you're listening, it's like, man, a lot of their hopes and dreams are within you, and what they're paying for from you. It's like, man, I think you can help me. Like, give me the confidence that you can. And so I love that. And I love that reminder too, that repetition is the mother of all skill. Right. And then from that, that grows also confidence and conviction and clarity and all the things. So there's a lot of different things that I'd love to talk about today. One of them is the mechanics of how you've built your program. And then I actually want to talk about the content of your program. And so I think by talking about the content, we can talk about the mechanics. And I would just be so curious to know, because I think there's a lot of people who are or who will be in some sort of career transition of, I had the thing, I did the thing, I was the thing, and now I'm moving into the new thing. And you did
Mhm.
that, right? And so why Fast 40? Like, why this program? Why a course? Why the coaching element? There was lots of things you could have done. And I heard you say a lot of people was coming to you, but you could have done it in a lot of different ways. Why did you
Mhm.
decide to go this route?
Yeah, I have so many things that come to my mind. So okay, so I've done this 3 times. When you talked about the thing where you've got the thing and you move to something else. So I went from a very successful, we were the top chiropractic office in Denver, sold it for the top 10% of all chiro offices. And people ask me why I sold it. I was an incredible chiropractor, not from an ego standpoint, but I literally one of the best ones I know. I'm serious when I say that. Why the hell would I sell? I've learned to listen to my inner guidance. There's no other answer. There is no other thing. I heard that it was time to sell. I
Mhm.
resisted it for 5 years. Those 5 years were painful. When you resist what the universe is asking you to do, I thought that being a chiropractor was like literally you have people heal from this stuff. It's like, what else could you do? And it's like, this is my skill set, right? Well, I learned something really powerful. The universe gives you more than one amazing talent. When you have completed a cycle of action, our reality is constructed in cycles. Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Always. We just don't want to acknowledge it. All relationships, beginning, middle, end. Your body, beginning, middle, end. Everything. If you sit in that, you can feel the beginning, middle, and end that the universe or God or whatever the life is telling you. So it told me the end. And it may sound crazy, but I literally listened to it. And when again, 5 years of pain of resisting it, you start going, let me figure out how to listen to life a little more. So I moved from, chiropractic to building a product business on Amazon, and there was a beginning, middle, and end. And it was interesting because as people started calling me and saying, "Hey, could you do the weight loss thing?" I sensed something's beginning because I think the challenge is like as an entrepreneur, we think that we are creating and driving and building. That's the push. I'd rather follow the pull.
Mhm.
And so I've learned to follow the pull. In my 20s, I was doing the push. And you start at 30s and 40s, follow the pull. I died, almost died to learn that lesson of how to follow the pull. The driven, the pushing, the accomplishing, checking boxes, someone who had never stopped to truly feel themselves. That was me at age 40, and had a near-death experience and realized, whoa, I wasn't truly tapping into my feeling, into my heart, and listening, not listening with my ears, but listening with my heart. And so that is really what guided me towards when you say why, there was a calling. Now, I did learn in the chiropractic office that I love my freedom. So when you see 325 patients, I was only open 12 and a half hours a week, but I still had to be somewhere. So I had a thought of like, I've accomplished that. Could I do the same thing and try to have freedom? So I had this interesting. So I had money, but no freedom. Then with the Amazon business, I had money and freedom, and I was totally uninspired
Mhm.
because I wasn't fulfilling my purpose. So I've realized money and freedom are really kind of boring, to be honest with you. Because if you have money and freedom and you're not here doing the thing you're put in this plan to do, what's the point? And so that's when I could feel like, oh, the universe wanted me to go through these processes. And so I realized I got to work with people. I love people. And I want to say this. This is kind of a segue from our last question to this question. I spent 10 years teaching metaphysical seminars. There was a brilliant man named Dr. Thurman Fleet who connected together how the subconscious mind works in the body. And in my 20s, I was studying this. Okay. And I just want to say this because this is important. Um, when you're working with people, we talked about clarity and certainty and conviction. He taught me that the more you focus on and you can concentrate on the things that you want, the more it'll amplify it. So, for example, as a doctor, most doctors are so busy, their mind is scattered with all kinds of stuff. What insurance should I bill? Is this person going to pay? Blah, blah, blah. That diminishes the patient's healing result because you're not present in the moment. So, one of the things I learned was that when I say something, I'm saying with full brain power, full brain cell activation. So when I say, Diane, when I make this adjustment, your stomach is going to heal. It's not the words, it's the power. So 90% of communication, 90% or more of all communication is subconscious, subconscious. 10% is our words and our gestures. It's the energy behind things. So what I realized was, and that's why we got such great healings. I started realizing in the fast 40, now I'm not working with people in person. So now I've got freedom, I've got money, and I've got inspiration. That's where I went, right? But it was interesting as I said these words over WhatsApp messages, I literally would start watching people heal. And it just astounded me. I was like, oh my gosh, energy transcends time and space. I don't actually physically need to be with someone to help them heal. The Christian scientists have known that for a long time. They do remote healings. The Egyptians knew this. They were doing remote healings. So I'm dropping some heavier stuff because there's a lot more behind just asserting what's happening in the unconscious mind. And understand, when you activate someone's subconscious mind, that is a direct connection to their body. So you have a direct connection to be able to access their body and their life. So when you say your stomach's going to heal, you're going to notice your relationship improving. That's what will happen in their life with that level of certainty.
That is good. You know, it's so interesting. We're writing our next book right now, Rory, my husband and I just finished up writing our chapter on identity. And it's so interesting to hear you say that. And it's really resonating because one of the, claims that I'm making, at least for me, is that the definition of identity is simply what you choose to believe about yourself. Right. And it's so much about, it's like, what you think about, you bring about, like all these little phrases that we've heard over the years. And, but it's true, right? It's like, if you believe, like, not you say you believe, but if you actually believe, then there is like this, spiritual thing that starts to happen where it's like, I tell people all the time, it's like your reticular activator kicks in, right? And it's like the moment that, I started really honing in on my health, it's like I started noticing things that I didn't notice before. And once I believed that this was possible, it's like I was more motivated and I was more disciplined. And, I finished the program, in April. And at the time of this recording, we're in mid-November. And it's like, I have not gained not 1 pound back, not one.
Wow. So cool.
And so, but a lot of that was from that deep inner belief of like, this is my healthiest state. And alcohol is not good for me. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's not good for me. Oils are not good for me. I'm not saying they're bad. They're just not good for me. Going to bed at 9 p.m. is good for me. Right? It's like, it's like I started like saying all these different things because they're true for me. Right. And it was like, it was really believing, it's like, I'm a better person when I eat healthier. I'm a better person when I get more sleep. And those are true things about me. But to like what you're saying, it's like, I really did. It's like, the more that I started believing, it's like the more results that I started getting. There's so much of what you were saying. So
beautiful.
That's a good transition to the program itself. And so I would love to talk about some of the phenomenons that I call them anyways, because I considered myself a fairly healthy person my whole life, right? I've been a pretty healthy individual. And then I was just completely dumbfounded and plagued with, this stubborn weight that wouldn't leave, which was then diagnosed to this gallbladder issue that I had it removed. Long story short, there was lots of things in place. But I remember being on my sales call with you. I have bunny fingers with the sales call, right? Because, all free calls are, a sales call. And that's okay because we do free calls too. But it was interesting because I remember you said, it's like, do you eat a lot of sugar? And I said, no, I'm not a sweets person. And you were like, let me ask that again. Do you eat a lot of sugar? And I said, no. And you were like, okay, let me rephrase that. You eat a lot of sugar. And I just remember being like, no, I don't. And I think you even said, you're like, I want you to do me a favor after our call. I want you to go to your pantry. I want you to go to your refrigerator, and I want you to look at the sugar content that's in all the foods. Look at all the sauces, look at all the drinks, look at all the foods in your pantry, and then come back and tell me that you don't eat a lot of sugar.
Mm.
And I remember doing that. And this is before I signed up for your program and paid for the program. And I remember sitting in my pantry for like an hour, pulling
Mm.
up every single thing. And I was like, oh, what? I was like in every spice, like my favorite garlic salt. I'm like, why is there sugar in garlic salt? It was in
Why?
the craziest, like, what? Like, what do you mean? And it was one of those convicting moments that I was like, okay, maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe I don't, maybe I'm not as healthy as I thought I was. Which is when I then signed up for your program and realized, oh, I've missed a lot of things. So therein lies my question. What are the things for the person? Now, there's some people listening who just go, I know I'm not healthy. Like, I know it. There's other people who go, no, I'm pretty healthy. Like, what would you say to the person, let's just say me, that's going, no, I'm pretty healthy, but yet I'm not in optimal shape. I'm not where I wanted to be. I'm not actually happy where I'm at. And yet,
Mhm.
you know that because I know you know. So, what would you say to the person that's going, I'm pretty healthy, and you're going, well, let's talk about that.
Well, okay, a few things. I'm not in the business of telling someone to do something that they don't want to do. So I'm a big fan of letting people find their own pain. That's what my sales calls are. So my entire process is if someone's calling and they want to lose 10, 20 pounds, they haven't, and they haven't yet. What I want someone to be able to truly see is how that 10 or 20 pounds is robbing them of the things they value the most. And what's happened in our country, over 33 million people are obese. Over 99 million, more than a third of our country is overweight. So if we have enough people walking with a limp and you got a limp, you're pretty normal. And that's the problem. You look around and 10 pounds overweight, no big deal. My cousin's 60 pounds overweight. My family's from Louisiana. Louisiana has some of the best food on the planet and some of the worst food on the planet. 60 pounds of weight is healthy in Louisiana. And so, it's very wild to look at this. It's all comparison. Our brain has comparison. We are the fattest country on the planet. And I want to say this in the most direct way to people. You should look up the life expectancy versus a per capita spent on healthcare. It will make you vomit. We have so many countries that are spending $2, $3, $4, $5,000 a year on healthcare for someone, and their life expectancy, Sweden, Italy, is over the 80s. Our average life expectancy is low 70s, and we spend over $10,000. There's no one even close. Sweden spends $4,000, and that is the most spent of all the countries in the world per capita, per person. We spend over $10,000 per capita on person, and we have a almost 10-year less life expectancy.
Why?
So when you look at why, there's two big things. One, our food has been riddled with preservatives and sugars. Now, something just happened recently. We saw the elections, and there's a man named RFK Jr. Whether or not you like him or not is not the question. I've watched him for years. He is tapped in. He is set out to hold our companies accountable. When you look at Cheerios, when you look at Fruit Loops, there are 13 more ingredients in our cereals than other countries allow. Those ingredients are things like dyes, actual toxic dyes made from petroleum. If you go to Australia, Cheerios are dyed with beet juice and carrot juice for the color. This is the sadness of what our FDA has allowed. Your government has allowed this in your food. And I'm saying this in a way that I hope it gets whoever's listening to this upset. So when you start understanding this, it's not a conspiracy, it's actually happening. Our foods are riddled with stuff. Why? It's cheaper to use dye than use beet juice. There's no reason other than profit. And I won't go into too many details about this, but the FDA, they've allowed it because the biggest lobbyists, right, can and the companies have the biggest money for them to allow that to happen in your food. And sugar. There's a book called Sugar Blues that I recommend everyone read. It is fantastic, but it's very interesting because it tracks the rise and fall of almost every major civilization since like the 1600s. The countries that owned sugar became wealthy. They became wealthy, but their people were eating it. So in 100 to 300 years, another country took them over because they were too weak to fight. This has happened for thousands of years. This is nothing new. This is what's happening with America right now. So I love to empower people, number one, about what they're putting in their food. And, like you did in my program, we eat real food. So many weight loss programs are using powders and pills. Nutrition doesn't come from a bottle. It's never come from a bottle. Nutrients don't come from a bottle. It comes from the food that God put in the earth. So that's number one. And number two is because of the excess sugars, one of the things that's important to understand is a process called duolipogenesis. Your body will convert, it's magical. You got to listen to this. Your body takes sugar and it converts it into fat on you. Why is that magical? Fat is the most amazing fuel source for the human being. You are a genius when you burn fat. You are a rock star marathon runner when you burn fat. You're an amazing bodybuilder. You're an amazing mother when you burn fat. Fat has 9 calories per gram, where a protein and carbohydrate has 4. So fat is literally jet fuel, okay? So your body geniusly takes sugar in and it converts it to fat. Why? It's because it goes, hey, I'd rather lay down fat because you're going to have a better fuel source for you. It's doing it out of love. But when you have too much sugar coming in, then you start loading up the fat, okay? So it's almost as if you put a low octane fuel in your car and your car could change it to a high octane fuel. That'd be magical. That's what your body's doing. So when you start seeing how much sugar is being put in, yes, we're generating more fat. We're becoming bigger. But why is that an issue? Why not just be fat? Why not just like you said, just 10 pounds? 10 pounds, no big deal. It has been proven that if you reduce your weight just by 5 to 10%, 5 to 10% of your fat, you decrease your risk of disease by 50%. And the true reason is when you are not utilizing fat, there's hormones in your body that use fat. When you load your body full of sugar, your hormones go, hey, let's start using this thing. It stops using fat. That's the moment where disease process sets in. Your joints become arthritic, your mind becomes slow, digestive issues, chronic diseases, cancers. Matter of fact, many cancers use sugar to metastasize, to get bigger inside your body. So those are the main reasons I've seen, and that's truly what the Fast 40 targets is, clearing those up, not just clearing them up, but getting people educated so they understand what's happening with both our nutrition and our environment.
Yeah, and that was truly like to what you said. And I think a lot of people hear that a lot about the sugars and don't do anything about it because I don't think you understand for the most part that it's in everything. Like I was thinking, well, I don't really eat sweets. Like I don't. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I eat sugar all day. What is happening? Like, there's some of that, but what I was more blown away with is the oils. And as I have talked about this program ad nauseum to all my friends and anyone who will listen, that has also been like, what do you mean? You mean olive oil? You mean like good oils? And I'm like, I mean all oils, body lotions, facial lotions, body gels, food oils in your foods. And out of everything that I've noticed since the program, because I have an insanely low tolerance to anything that has oil in it. At home, we cook with water. But if I go out somewhere, within 5 minutes of putting something in my body, even if I requested, hey, please just steam this, I don't want it, I know within an instant. So I feel like there's a lot of the sugar conversation, regardless if people are buying into it or not. I had never in my life heard this oil component. So want to talk about that?
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, this is, by the way, it's fun. What's fun for me is I've always been the guy, especially as a chiropractor, that I literally am doing something completely different than what mainstream media and medical system tells you. That's why I get such good results. And the Fast 40 is no different. I'm willing to be the guy that's like, listen, what you've been told is completely false. I'm okay telling you that. And that's why we have such great results. So the truth is, so the fat reserves, you have different types of fat reserves. You have structural fat, which is a necessary fat inside your cells and tissues. You have normal fat. Normal fat is a reserve that you need. And then you have abnormal fat. Abnormal fat is when you've tapped out your normal reserves and your body goes, okay, well, I got to put this somewhere. Where does it put it? Your belly, your thighs, your legs, your hips, your butt, all these different areas. And the reason it does it is because of survival. And there's so many things behind this, but when when during our hormone reset, number one, understand that your hypothalamus, the part of the brain that is very, very primitive, is naturally used to looking for fat. It already knows I'm going to do great with that. Okay. And so over time, like I said, your body becomes efficient at what you give it. So you give it the sugar, it starts switching over to sugar. So what we do during our 40-day reset is we remove all oils and fats because, listen to it this way, your brain and body have no reason to use its own fat reserves if you put fat in your mouth. And it's very confusing to people because they're still thinking, well, aren't fats good? Yes, but you already have 20 pounds of good fat on you. It's not about fats being good and bad. I want to get your body to use the good fat on you. It's the best fat. So that's why people feel so amazing is your body made this fat. Why not use that fat? So once you remove those, and you've seen this, the fat just slides off. And once someone gets to their healthy fat percentage, then we sparingly put fats in. And the reason why this is good, I'm glad you really got to that point of seeing that, is I saw the same thing. We have a whole program after the Fast 40 now that because of BBG, I'm creating. I wouldn't have figured this out without BBG. And part of what it does is we are actually tracking people's actual calories and proteins and fats. And we have an app we use that people load their foods in. Every time we go out to eat, what you said is exactly it. My mom and I went out to eat, we loaded our food, and our fat content was skyrocketed. And I'm like, oh my God. It's because when you go to a restaurant, you're going to get a fatty burger, because if they don't put a fatty burger in there, you're going to complain because it doesn't taste good. Mm-hmm. Most people wouldn't eat that. And then there's bacon, all kinds of stuff. So fat was designed to be utilized very sparingly because it is jet fuel. You don't need as much of it. You do need certain amounts each day. And you're a very high energy woman. I attract very powerful. I have entrepreneurs and all kinds of stuff. I work well with powerful people. So I want them burning fat, but the brain loves to burn fat, but we just don't need as much as we've been using. And that was a shocker to me. So none of the stuff you've seen, I figured this out on my own. It wasn't that I learned it in school. It was like me and Tuli going, oh my God, look at my body. I used to have extra fat on my body. I couldn't get it off. I was a bodybuilder, and I literally went through and figured this process out. And I was like, oh my God, this is so different. I had the same cognitions you did about sugar. I was eating sandwiches. The white bread was sugar. Like, I'd go to restaurants, it was full of sugar, right? So all these things I figured out over time and experimented on my own body, and then experimented with my family, and then experimented with, I had thousands of patients experiment with to figure these things out.
Yeah. And I love that, because I think one of the things that is so helpful, not just with like the health components of this, but it's also understanding the choices that we make, right? And it's like, it's one thing, right? And I think that's one of like the ahas that I love in any program. It's like, it's one thing if I'm making choices out of ignorance, right? But it's another if I'm going, hey, I know if I do this, this is going to happen. And then if I do this, then this will happen. And I think that's a huge part of the success of any program, is giving people the information, the awareness, and the cognition to be able to make good choices, right? And that's part of what I loved about this program, is like, even if I choose not to, like, follow it very strictly in a day, it's like, I also understand the consequences of my choices. Right. And what I also love is I also now know how to reset. I didn't know how to reset before. And so I'd love for you to talk about that next. And then I have two other things. And then I want to talk about the mechanics of your program. Yeah. Go on and on. Yeah. But like, just as a quick example, it's like, I know that if I choose to go out to eat, and I think a part of this is I still weigh myself every single day, not because I'm obsessed about my weight. I'm not. I am truly monitoring how my body reacts to the food that I put in it, good or bad. This is not a weight obsession. And people go, get rid of the scales. No, don't do that. It's like me trying to run analytics on my funnels with no data.
Bingo.
Like, what? No, I have to have data. I have to know what works and what doesn't. I have to be able to monitor the output so I know the input. And that is like, so back to what I was going to say is, the thing that's amazing is I literally know if I choose to, splurge, which looks different from me now, but if I do, then I know the very next day, here are the 3 things that I need to do, and I will completely reset and I will be fine.
Mhm.
I never
Yeah,
knew that before. Part of it
right.
I wasn't monitoring it, but then I'm like, oh man, I don't know what to do. And so what would you say to the person who's the yo-yo dieter, right? Like they're the person who gets on it and all of a sudden we fall off the wagon and it's just this constant yo-yo. Like what are the benefits of your program that teach you how to reset in a way that in my, 41 years had never learned before?
Well, first of all, yo-yo dieting is damaging your health. That's the first thing. Yo-yo diet is absolutely damaging. Matter of fact, you look at people who are yo-yo dieting, they end up fatter in the long run.
Mm.
Every time you reduce your calories and deprive yourself of what you need, you will temporarily lose weight, both muscle, water, and fat. And those aren't the type you want to lose fat, you don't want to lose muscle, but that's what happens with calorie deprivation diets. That's Jenny Craig, that's Weight Watchers, that's paleo, keto, that's all of them. So we don't create calorie deprivation. We create caloric balance. That's a very specific thing. It's one of our pillars in BBG, right? Is we literally create caloric balance and reset your metabolism. The yo-yo dieting is screwing up your metabolism and making you malnourished. And what happens is you'll lose weight. The moment you put food back in, because your brain and body love you, it will lay down more fat. Why? Because there's a 25,000 plus year old mechanism that says this person's starving. We must add fat for the next time they starve themselves.
Mm.
So that's a big clue if someone hears that. Okay. So that's the first thing. The other thing is that you said something. It's funny because I hear Rory in a lot of videos say the thing that I've been saying in a different way, but it's about pain. It's about you get 2 types of pain in this world. Some of my patients think I'm a positive person, and I keep kind of reminding people that I'm not positive. Um, I'm in equilibrium. Positive thinking is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. The most sad people on the planet are the ones that are striving for happiness.
Mm.
The most sick people on the planet are the ones that are striving for health. Why? Because we live in a world of polarity. We have 2 types of pain in this world: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And so what I've noticed, I'm kind of going back to what you were saying here, is you either decide the discipline of weighing yourself, of looking at the scale. I want to just mention this. So many women have been told you shouldn't weigh yourself because you can create some emotional obsession. Absolute bullshit. All you're doing is avoiding pain. There's nothing else. There's no other thing. Now, the primitive brain is wired to avoid pain. So just check this out. We have primitive brain centers, the amygdala and hippocampus, and then you have advanced brain centers, okay? Your primitive brain, when you are avoiding pain, you are in your animalistic brain center. When you weigh yourself and you face the pain, you're in the advanced frontal lobe. So understand this. In the animalistic avoid pain, chase pleasure, you are going to go back and forth, yo-yo diet. You're going to go back and forth in your relationship. You're going to be on a massive pendulum swing of incredibly happy and incredibly sad. That's what the majority of our reality and most of our people are going through. So you have the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. You can decide to avoid the scale each day, and you'll pay the price of regret, which is sitting in a hospital bed with a heart attack, trying to get your heart worked on. That's a bigger pain. So one of the things that you've seen is I really push people to actually feel pain, the emotional pain specifically. You cannot avoid the little pains. And I thought the same thing when you were talking about that. I was like, that's like saying I should just stop checking my bank account or checking my analytics. You cannot manage what you don't measure. So people are worried about creating some kind of emotional trauma to themselves. I would rather you learn to sit in your pain, because I know the pathway to your most greatest change is through your pain. If you think about the things that have, probably with you too, AJ, the things that have truly been the most amazing things in our lives, it's when the shit hits the fan and you deal with pain. It's not been from being coddled and supported, right? So anyway, that's a few things about that of why the whole up and down, the yo-yo dieting. Most of it is just truly avoiding pain. So the difference with us, we create caloric balance. I don't want you hungry in this program. I don't want you starving. I already know it's not going to work. It hasn't worked for most people. Oh, a third of our country is fat. If dieting was going to work, it would have already worked, right? Secondly, we actually reset your hormones. So we reset your hormones away from sugar and we flip the switch back to fat. That does not happen with any program. And literally, there's not one program, including the recent injections that are completely damaging people's gallbladder and intestines called Ozempic and Wegovy. Um, there's 50 to 60 lawsuits per day for these injections. It doesn't reset your hormones. It actually screws your hormones up. And I'm very passionate just about the hormone reset for both men and women. Of course, we work with both, but men seem to not take care of their health as much as women do. So I focus for women. But one of the things that I think is powerful is if you go into menopause, if you're 35 to 55, you start having menopausal changes and you are a sugar burner, you're in for a hellish-like condition and hellish-like symptoms. If you go through menopause as a fat burner, here's my experience with thousands of people. Dr. Golman, this isn't so bad. Right. The medical community would like you to think that you need to load yourself full of chemicals because you're now 40. Bullshit. That is where I'm standing up for women and for people. Your body has everything it needs. If you get to reset it and put the right fuels in, you will create health, and your second half will be healthier than your first half.
Well, I mean, y'all, I don't get affiliate fees for Dr. Cody. I wish he did send me affiliate fees. I do not get them. I am not like, I am not exaggerating. I'm 41, right? And I have so many friends who have chalked up to, well, this is just life post 40. This is just life post babies. And I'm literally sitting here going, I'm in the best physical shape of my adult life, better than I was in college. I look better than I did on my wedding day. Like, this is the best physical shape that I have been in my adult life, and most certainly the healthiest. This isn't just about physical appearance. It's like I went and had an executive physical a few weeks ago, and my doctor was like, well, you do not have the labs of a 41-year-old. And I was like, I didn't think I
Wow.
would. I didn't think I would. But it's like,
Awesome.
I'm not tooting Dr. Cody's horn. It's like, this has been a life transformative change where I feel like so many of us have uh, ignored the pain because we didn't want to see it, or we've been told you don't need to. But at the same time, we're being shoved a bunch of powders and pills and programs that ultimately don't work. I was never hungry, and I'm never hungry. People look at the amount of food I eat and they're like, there's no way you're going to eat all that. And I'm like, I'm going to eat all of it. Eat some more. Like, I eat so much food. It's abnormal. And it's all because it's like my body has reset. It has reset. And I cannot say enough about this program and the way that it has changed my physical and mental health over the last years. But I do want to talk about two things in transition before I run out of time, because you've talked about this a lot the last 5 minutes, is women, and specifically women 35 to 55. And I think a lot of people struggle with, breaking through what we call she hands wall. They struggle with really dialing it in because their audience is too broad. And I feel like you, even though you've said, hey, we can work with men too, but I love that you have actually really defined a very niche audience that you can just crush with. And because of that, it makes it easy for people like me to go, oh, I know who to go refer you to. Anyone who talks about hormones, menopause, post children, can't lose this weight. I'm like, I know someone, right? And it's because it's so clear, right? And so I just want to recap this. This is even in Dr. Cody's bio, y'all. So when you're thinking about how clear should you be, this was in his intro that I said, hey, send me the bio that you want me to read about you. This is what it says. Dr. Goldman empowers women aged 35 to 55 who struggle with stubborn weight that won't budge despite diet or exercise. Right? And it's like, you have found like the demographic and psychographic elements of these are women in this age range who struggle with this, right? And we talk a lot about this at Brand Builders. I help who do what? I help women age 35 to 55 lose weight that won't go away. And so how did you pick that audience? And that's, I want to talk about that. And then I want to talk about how you decided some of the accountability measures of your program.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to chat about that.
Okay.
So yeah, just to really toot BBG's horn, like I've been in, this is my third business, actual business, not mean hobby. And I had done all kinds of finding your avatar stuff before you guys. So I was like, I already knew this, but you guys have truly helped me dial it in. I've loved your process. You helped me truly dial it in. In the chiropractic office, what I saw was I had mostly women patients. And I thought it was because maybe I'm a good looking guy or something. I started my chiropractic office. I was 24 when I built that office. I was young. So I was, but I had mostly women. I thought, what the hell's going on? I'm like, okay. But over time, what I realized was, this is what I realized. And I'm a man, so I know this. I can say this. Women take action on their health long before men do. So I realized if I could get the women in my office, I eventually would get the man. Because I want to work with men too. But I didn't have to focus on them because the men follow the women. Doesn't that work everywhere?
Yes.
That's what the bars do. The bars say, listen, it's happy hour. Women come in free because they know the men are going to come in, right? So I'm just using maybe it's the bar strategy. But that's what I figured out. And so truly, that's just what came through is like, my God, I love working with women because they take care of themselves. In general, women will tap in to feel pain longer before men do. And I'm a man that I feel more feelings than most women. I feel people when I talk to them. That happened to me, just whatever it is, whatever my makeup is. So men truly sometimes don't even understand what I've been saying. But women understand when I say, would you stop for a second and just drop in and feel what your body's telling you right now? Like women can hear that, right? And eventually, there maybe we'll have a big advancement evolution, and men will follow our women and we'll catch up to you guys, right? So that's truly why I ended up working with that set of of people, and I love the age range because it is the age range that our healthcare system to me has disempowered
Mm.
and by the way, this has been happening from the time you're born. Our healthcare system, this happened in back in the 1930s and 40s. They realized that they can teach people that your body doesn't have what it needs to be healthy. You can become a customer of a lifelong medicine system. I'm not against medicines. Thank God we have emergency care. Freaking love it. Amazing. But emergency care started lapsing over into healthcare, and that's where we went wrong. And so my message that I've known the universe has showed me is the universe is inside you. It's called innate intelligence. You have everything you need. The universe didn't build you, or God didn't make you to turn 40 and forget what chemicals to make. What kind of story are we trying to, like, what the, I'm not going to curse here as much, but so anyway, I love empowering and disempowering those old beliefs and putting new ones in. And you're such a good model of that. As I get 41, that's what I experienced. I'm 46. I have more energy now than 26. A lot of my people around me are 46. They look like they're 66. It's like sad. I want people to truly be healthy. And I'm a very spiritual person. I found that the number one thing to lead people to God is create a healthy body. When you are sick, you're not seeking spirituality. When you're sick, you're just seeking survival. So there's a much deeper meaning behind, for me, for health. It's truly getting you connected with your source. This is our ultimate gift from the universe. When you see it like that, my God, you're circulating 60,000 miles of arteries and veins. You have no idea how that works. You put food in your mouth and it turns it into your body. You have over 200 pharmacies inside that make not bioidentical, they make identical chemicals for your body. Why would you need to go to Walgreens? You got 220 Walgreens inside your body. I won't go on, but the thing's pretty freaking amazing.
I mean, I would let you go on and on and on. This would easily be a 3-hour episode for me because I think it's fascinating and I think it's true. And I think there has been a disempowering amount of ignorance that we have allowed. And I can't blame just the government. We have allowed it. And there needs to be more voices who go, right? And part of why I wanted to have you on the show is because I believe in the program so much. And also because the dead gum thing works, right? And so I want to help share this. Now, I believe that a huge part of why the program works is the mechanics of the accountability and the touch points, right? Because there's a course component, which is very informative. And I will tell you, it's the only course that I've ever completed. I am not a course learner. I'm an in-person learner. I'm tactical, hands-on, got to shut it down. It took a lot of self-discipline to get through this course. It's not my jam. It's not how I learn. It's not how I function. But I did it. It's probably the only one I've ever finished. But that is not what, now the information was transformative and just going like, how am I this old and never knew this? But what really moved the needle is your ability to stalk me every day for 6 weeks. And this is the part where I will talk about how Cody is so annoying. He is so annoying in the best way possible. It's the most annoyingly helpful program on the planet. But every day, and I have brought this up to countless people who are in the coaching or membership space. I was just literally came off the heels of a female entrepreneur mastermind that I'm a part of. 10 of us who are all in, this different kind of course membership coaching world and space. And they were like, what do you mean every day? How does he do that? And I'm like, I don't know, he does it on WhatsApp. I can tell some of them are more general. I can tell some are more personal. But I was like, I'm having him on my podcast. I'm going to ask him. So how are you pulling this off? Daily accountability. Daily.
Yeah. I've had many versions of trying, of trying to figure out how to do this. Just FYI, I landed on this, right? I figured it out. But so I tried in my chiropractic office when we did this weight loss program. I met with people once a week and we measured them. But what I found was 7 days was way too long. In 7 days, you could have completely screwed it up. So I was like, well, how do I do this daily? I am someone that freedom is just as important to me as money because I've experienced money without freedom and it sucks. It's not worth it. So how do I make money? How do I have freedom and be inspired in helping people? That was the blend of all this. So it just happened to be that someone was, a friend of mine introduced me to an app called Voxer, and I was using Voxer for a long time. And I literally accidentally, it was because one of my friends used it, and then one of my clients was like, they used Voxer. They started sending me messages, and it was like an accident. It was like, I didn't figure this. I'm not smart enough to do that. I listen to the universe, right? So it started happening. We were sending messages back and forth, and they were getting better results. And was like, well, that's interesting. So then I started, let me try this with other people. So we literally, and by the way, I tried let me meet with you and as a group, once a week. And it was just so hard to try to get people, again, once a week was just too long. And those 40 days are so vital. So we eventually switched over to WhatsApp, and that platform, it really worked well for my freedom. And because a few things, I don't want to set appointments with people, and people don't want to set appointments with me. That's what I realized. Nobody really wants to set appointments. We're just too busy for that. So when I realized that, and I think this is important for a lot of business owners to understand, is like, because they think they should be showing up for people every single day. Like, no one wants to be like, don't take their time. So I started realizing that, and because I had people all over the world, I have people in Italy and France and all over the world, I couldn't do that. So that's why I started realizing, okay, if I just actually leave messages every single morning. And so there are messages I've had that I'm like, oh my God, I like this message. I like this message on day 38. So I'll record it for myself and I save it, and I'll plop that message for day 38 for every single person, right? But I make sure it's my accountability to myself. I care. So I'll send that personal message every morning. And I truly think that's why we have a insane success rate. I mean, AJ, like I literally have out of the hundreds of people I work with, I can think of 2 or 3 people who haven't completed the program. And it's wild even to me. I'm not sure, that had that same success rate in the chiropractic office. But part of this is I figured out as a chiropractor, this will be important because when you're working with people, if you don't tell people where we're going, they will make up where they're going in their mind. So the average chiropractor sees patients for about 12 visits, lifetime. I saw people for 78 plus over the course of 10 years. And those people were insanely healthy, got off medications, got out of cancers. And the reason why is because I showed them, here's where we are. And if I see you for 12 visits, you're going to do what? You're going to yo-yo. Better, worse, better, worse, better, worse. So I show them the path to actually coming to wellness and health. And what I find is most doctors, most chiropractors, most acupuncturists are not showing people the path. And your program is reminding me of that. I'm literally showing people, I showed people the path for 40 days. I'm now showing the path after 40 days because I didn't have that available at the time. So having those messages works really well. I check them first when I wake up. And here's the key. Because you have messages you can check, you put them at one time. I check emails once a day. I check my phone twice a day. I control my time. So I check these messages from 6 to 7. I check the messages from 11 to 12. And everyone goes, how the hell do you do that? I'm like, I have freedom. I control my time. Control as a business owner equals income. The ability to start, I can change, I can check all those messages. But if I was checking messages all throughout the day, I wouldn't have a life. So that truly is how that came about.
So I have questions. I have some technical questions about this because this, I think for anyone who is in the coaching space is going, I'm sorry, once again, you're doing this every day. So how many clients do you have like at any given time that you're actually following up with on a daily basis?
The most, well, up to 40 to 50 I've done.
So
And
you're actually sending and responding 40 or 50 a day. Okay. So
yeah.
like
And
what
total
was
of time, total time, maybe hour and a half, the most 2 hours in a day.
and I
That
think
many people.
I think that's really significant because
Yeah.
I think what I'm trying to point, just because I know I've been through the program, is they're not long. Doesn't take a lot of engagement, right? And so how have you figured out to keep these short engagements so that you can have these daily touch points, get what you need, give them what you need, but kind of get in and out pretty efficiently?
Ooh, I think you're gonna love this answer. I think you love this answer. Okay. In the chiropractic world, this is something that's very funny. So chiropractors will see people for 5, 10, 12, 15, 20. I know chiropractors that have 30-minute appointments. Okay. Guess how long patients saw me?
On an average
Less.
visit. Well, I want to
Okay.
guess because I see a
Okay.
chiropractor.
Okay.
If I don't include the wait time,
Yeah.
just
Now wait,
time with the
just trust me.
doctor,
Right.
ooh, 7 minutes.
Ooh, wow. You're about 6 minutes too long. My adjustments were 1 minute. Okay. Now
Okay.
I want you guys to understand this. So I told you in the very beginning that we had diabetic conditions, sickle cell anemia, AIDS, breast cancers, digestive cancers. We had better results than not only most chiropractors, but most healers on the freaking planet. Okay. Time is an illusion.
Mm.
Time is not real. What's real is energy. Okay. Keep in mind, these patients never saw my face. And you'll probably hear some of the patients who are listening to this podcast. They were laying face down when I came in the room. So not only did they not see me, they never saw me. They were face down when I walked in and face down when I left for about a minute to a minute and a half.
Hmm.
Not one person said, not one person cared because they got phenomenal freaking results. Why? I mentioned this to you in the beginning about your ability to focus on what you're saying. Have you experienced, people listen to this, have you experienced spending hours or weeks with someone who's not present versus 1 to 2 minutes with someone who's present with you? That's the difference. When I say something, I am completely present with what I'm saying, and it comes through. So remember, 10% of communication is our words, 90% is in the unconscious. What are you thinking about when you're saying the things you're saying? You will activate someone's unconscious mind. So if my messages were to people like, hey, what's the update today? Sometimes it's just my message, right? If I'm thinking about 5 different things, 12 different things, which most people are, you will activate in that person's brain that you're not present. They will feel it. So as a chiropractor, people laying down in a minute and a half felt closer to me, more connected, and more loved than many times they did with their spouse.
Mm.
That's the feedback I got over and over again. And I didn't know anything about them. They just felt like they knew me because it's not about getting to know each other. It's about the presence with each other. So your presence when you're communicating with people is everything. It's everything.
I mean, I think this is a really important kind of concept for anyone who is in this space And even if you're not in this space, but the whole concept of like you can be present for a really short amount of time and make a really impactful difference. But like I cannot say this enough. Like the daily touch points, in my opinion, is what was the catalyst for change and growth. And I am literally, since I finished this program in April, have been figuring out how to make it the gold standard in our company with our team to do the same thing. You can create a course just on this, Cody, and we would buy it. And I think so much of it, it's like, man, it's like what other programs on the earth actually do that are that committed to your change and to your growth? It's like, no, you go every day. And it wasn't just every day. Like if I didn't respond, you would be like, hey, where's your stats? Send them.
Right. Yeah, that truly is right. Right. You know, I was going to say to you, remember I was telling you my past life, I taught seminars on how the mind works. And if you understand the mind works, I think you and Rory love that stuff. But your brain is wired. So many people talk about wanting to change their thoughts and their minds. There are two ways to do this: repetition and emotion. Repetition and emotion. If you repeat something enough with intensity of emotion, that's what I'm talking about when I say presence. Like the intensity of when I say something, you can feel when I say it. So those two things, you repeat enough and you put enough energy in it, you will rewire your brain. That's what I was doing as a chiropractor. You see me a few times a week, and I'm an intense, like I'm here, but it's an intense love. Like, you know, this will lead us to our next topic. You know that I'm there. And one of the things you asked about in our next following question was sort of the accountability as a coach. You mentioned a few times about I was the most annoying coach in a good way. Well, I want to address that, AJ. I love that you said that, because this is such an important piece. If people just get this one thing, if you ignored everything else as a coach, as a wife, as a husband, as anything, right? Listen to this. The universe is in equilibrium, whether or not you think it is or not. That's an important understanding. You may think that the world's out of balance. It's never out of balance. What's out of balance is your perception of the world. It is always in perfect balance. Why? Because if it wasn't, it would dismantle. Now, when I see perfect balance, everything has equal positive and negative. This is scientifically. I'm not talking about theoretically or theologically. Scientifically, our universe is held together because of positive and negatives. A piece of steel is held together because of positive and negatives. They call it cohesion, but it's electronic. Okay. So that when you look at that universal makeup inside a human being, the positive is called support. The negative is called challenge. And the universe will equally support and challenge you. Why? When you're over-supported, you become weak. When you're over-challenged, you become a street fighter. Even your brain is wired like that. So kids who are over-supported are entitled brats. Kids who are over-challenged are street fighters. But the universe wants perfect balance, and it already is perfectly balanced. So when I figured this out, when you look at coaching or a relationship or anything, you want to see someone who really loves you, it is the person who challenges you as much as they support you. Maximum growth is achieved at the border of challenge and support. And the reason you could say, AJ, that I was the most annoying coach, and I don't take any offense to, is because I want you to feel that. If I over supported you, you may have failed. I already know that. It's the challenge that's the harder role to play. So I don't have the delusion that if I'm kind and caring and just supportive, that you're going to like me. And I'm okay with not being liked. I'm okay in being hated. If it means you become healthy and you hate me, I've served my purpose in this planet. My ego's out of the way. So that's where it really comes in, is challenge and support. I use both. And you can feel when someone is literally, it's like that parent or that manager you've had in the past. When you know that this person has got your back, but you can't F with them, you have appreciation, love, and respect for that person. That's the role I play. That's the role I saw with managers. The ones I could walk over and who supported me, I didn't respect them. Right? The ones that gave me too much challenge, I thought they were assholes, right? Sorry, I said I was going to challenge. I said I was going to curse. It's the ones that gave me the equal that I was like, man, and that's how I figured out with my employees too, as business owner. My employees, I realized I was like, okay, friend or boss, nope. I'm here. I've got you, but you're not going to walk over me. It's
Mhm.
that.
That's so good. And that is such a good reminder that that's needed. And yeah, like we said, not just in a coaching relationship, in every relationship, right? And all the things. But I love the concept of that equilibrium between support and challenge, because that's where growth is found, right? It's like, it's helping them with that little bit of inspiration, motivation, and enough accountability to go, right? And I think that is that healthy balance, that you do. And I would just second, it's like your next program can be, how do you create that level of accountability in other programs, right? So that can just be your next business, your fourth iteration.
Nice. Yeah.
Future.
Thank you.
Now, what I want to do is I want to make sure that everyone who is listening, if you're like, whoa, 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 what is this program? Like, what are you talking about? If you guys go to drcodygoldman.com, there is a free, is it a video or what is it? The 3 secrets to permanent weight loss. What is it, Cody?
Yeah, there's a link. You can go to, well, at fast40weightloss.com, you'll find the free training.
Okay.
That's truly it. You'll find the free training. Dr. Cody Golman will get you the fast 40 weight loss, but there's a 3 secrets to permanent weight loss training. And I will literally show you the 3 steps, the 3 secrets that I've taken so many people through to lose 15 to 30 pounds of fat in 40 days while resetting your hormones, while getting your energy back, and while regaining your health, and without starving yourself, like AJ said.
Yeah. So again, go to fast40weightloss.com, or you can go to Dr. Cody Goldman, but fast40weightloss.com, and grab the 3 secrets to permanent weight loss. Y'all, I promise, regardless if you take a step after that, the amount of information that you'll just learn, the ahas, the awareness that is so crucial for the next step in your health journey. I cannot recommend this. I have not recommended this more than any other program I have ever done in any category, which is why I had Dr. Cody on the show today. Thank you so much. This was so worthwhile, not just on the health and nutrition part, but also on the efficiency tips around accountability and support and using WhatsApp. So many golden nuggets. I love this. And y'all, if you also want to just follow Dr. Cody on social, on YouTube, it's Dr. Cody Goldman. So you can also just learn from him on YouTube, Dr. Cody Goldman. Cody, thank you so much for being on the show. For everybody else, stick around, listen to the recap episode that'll be coming up next, and we will see you next time on the Influential Personal Brand.